My younger brother Cameron was born 3 years after me to the day. So we actually share the same birthday. And as we would soon find out, we'd also share the same liver. But when he was 13 years old, he started getting sick quite often and just had no idea why. And my parents took him from doctor to doctor. And eventually they determined that he had what's called primary sclerosing cholangitis, or PSC for short, which attacks the bile ducts in the liver. And it's an autoimmune liver disease that progressed over time to the point where doctors said to him and my family that a liver transplant was going to be inevitable. As a young teenager, we were extremely active, a big time hockey family. So, I mean, sports were our entire lives. And certainly when I was 16, watching my brother get sick often and ultimately be told that he couldn't any longer play ice hockey, that was the most difficult thing for not just him, but our entire family to deal with, just because we knew how much he loved doing that. And as a 13-year-old, that's a really difficult thing to hear. And then as time progressed, he'd be missing school quite often and just physically wasn't able to do things that any normal 13 or teenager in general would be able to do. And um, I always tried to lead with compassion and try to put myself in his shoes and try my best to understand what it was like for him to go through that. And looking back on it, I know if the tables were turned, my brother would have done the exact same thing for me. And when my parents came to me and said, listen, this is the reality of the situation. Cameron's going to need a liver transplant, but there is this incredible opportunity for someone who's living to be able to donate a portion of their liver, where the liver would regenerate both in the donor and the recipient. I knew immediately that I wanted to be Cameron's donor, and I jumped at the opportunity to do so. And fast forward a few years, I was approved, went through the necessary testing, and on February 11th, 2014, I successfully donated 65% of my liver to Cameron. There was definitely some hesitation from his side, given the fact that here we were, extremely close, watching someone put themselves on the line to save your life was probably really difficult for him to deal with, just because in the back of his mind, he had the thought of, well, what if something happens to me? When in fact, there was never a question. It was more so me just being persistent and telling him that there was not a chance that I wasn't going to go through with it. And I know that if the tables were turned, that he would do the same for me. And I think eventually he was able to come to terms with it. And the moment that I found out that I was going to be a living donor and got approved to move forward in the process, that was a really special moment, being able to share that news with him and just the rest of my family. It's incredible. I look at him now compared to 10 years ago, and he's a different person. I mean, physically, you can just see how much healthier he is. And he even decided to go back to change careers and get a job as a registered nurse, given everything that he had gone through. So not only did the experience impact him in a way as far as saving his life ultimately, but also it led him down a different career path to want to help others. 6+ years out, I constantly have to think back, and I'm like, I cannot believe that was A, 6+ years ago, and B, that I did that. And certainly when I'm having a difficult day now and stressing about something that's pretty minuscule in the grand scheme of things, it's really grounding to know that you went through this experience and that ultimately you were able to give someone the most incredible gift that you could possibly give them. My brother and I sat down, and before the transplant had taken place, we looked at our situation and we decided that after researching that at the time 18 Americans were dying every single day due to the shortage of registered organ donors, some of the other staggering statistics, we knew we wanted to do something. So we decided, why not try to use our story to help educate people and provide them with a platform to understand this incredible gift of whether it's becoming a registered organ donor upon being deceased or taking the living donor route. And we launched a crowdfunding campaign to raise enough money to film a documentary to showcase our experience to the world. We want to use our story to help educate people and show them what it's like when one loved one needs a life-saving transplant, in hopes that others are going to step up to the plate and do the same thing. So everyone was really taken back by just the situation in general, and the amount of support that was outpoured from, again, from friends, family members, and even strangers who we'd never met was incredibly special and humbling. You can watch the film, which is titled 65%, fittingly given the fact that I donated 65% of my liver to Cameron. You can watch that film on New Jersey Sharing Network's website, which is njsharingnetwork.org. If you're in a position where you're considering donating an organ as a living donor, the piece of advice I would give to you is don't look back, right? You're in a position right now where you're considering this for a reason, and keep that at the forefront as far as why you're considering this. And ultimately, I can tell you from my experience that it will be the most incredible thing that you can experience. And again, it's the most incredible gift that you can possibly give someone. You could be a superhero.